Hey friend, yes, we're gonna go there today and review these babies. I hope you're prepared, doing chit chat get ready with me, talking about the olden days in retail, working it. So stay tuned. You can definitely subscribe to this channel if you want to see videos every Monday and Friday. We not only do beauty makeups like these, but we do effects videos, body paintings, telling really creepy, scary, interesting stories. So you can hit the notification bell and subscribe if you want to see more. Now we're gonna be going over some new makeup today, specifically the Urban Decay Prince collaboration. I cannot understand how this is so expensive. I know it's Prince, but honestly, $250, girl, for this whole thing? What? Let's go over it, shall we? The first thing I'm probably gonna put on is this. This is the liquid highlighter. It retails for $32, and I'm gonna be super honest with you. There is not many Urban Decay eyeshadow palettes that I love. I like the Stone Vibes collection. I think there was a few more I liked, but here's the liquid illuminator that I'm gonna probably put on first. It is a liquid highlight. So does it go under? I'm gonna put it under my foundation. And we have the All-Nighter Waterproof, which sounded fascinating to me for summer. It's a setting powder. I'm gonna be trying one of my BB creams because I don't know how full coverage the setting powder is. I like the outer packaging. I don't know why this packaging and texture of it reminds me of Tarte, but this one's Urban Decay. We also have two liners. When Doves Cry and So Dark. These are so interesting. They literally look like ancient weapons. Like, look at that. Doesn't that look like you can just jab someone? Why do they make them so dangerous looking? Is it because you will get less product because you will only be able to sharpen to your, yes, I'm being critical, I know. I also wish companies would stop making wood eyeliners because this baby is how much? $28, and it only sharpens to here. I don't like wooden eyeliners because the wood could chip off into your eye. I know I'm being harsh, but can we have a retractable? Even like if it was like the NYX jumbo eye pencil, because it's like plastic instead of wood that you could sharpen. Can we do that type of thing? Because I'm so scared of wood. Anyways, the other thing we got is the brush. The brush is also $28. What? Why? It's a multitasking brush. Why is it so expensive? It's super soft. It looks like it could hold like a full coverage foundation, even though there isn't a foundation in the collection. And the pièce de résistance is the two eyeshadow palettes. You not only get one, but two eyeshadow palettes if you buy the whole collection, which is $250. But each eyeshadow palette, she's $55. I'm gonna go over some dupes I found for these because you're paying almost $5, I guess, for each tiny pan. Okay, yeah, and there's like a popular guy. Ooh, this feels interesting. I like the glitter, I like the feel of this. I like how they have the names under each shadow to represent like his song. I think it's odd how he's doubling up on the names. Like this eyeliner is the same name as one of the shadows. And here's the other eyeshadow palette. I mean, this is just speaking to me. I love golds. Ooh, those are sharp. His little emblem is very sharp, watch out. But we're gonna do a makeup look with these, with purples. We'll see how it goes. While talking about some retail stories, oh my goodness. Guys, before I was able to work from home, thank Jesus I can, be able to still have the opportunity to work from home. YouTube is not my only job now, but I still get to work from home, which is I'm so grateful for that. Before, I actually worked in retail, not only at Bath & Body Works, but this other store that I don't want to mention the name of, but it was basically maternity wear. We're just gonna do this on the places I highlight usually and see how it looks. So I'm not gonna name the name of said retail store, but oh my gosh, I just would have to see pregnant women. I would clothe them, see them naked, try really hard to help them, you know, feel confident in their new bodies, trying to get them everyday clothes. And our store specifically specialized in clothing for pregnant women, which I absolutely love. Like, that's why I got into makeup. I love when I do makeup on a client, making them feel like just gorgeous, you know? I'm so lucky for that opportunity, but with retail comes repercussions. Like, when I tell you some of the stuff, I'm sure you guys could relate to this if you worked in retail. But before I tell my stories, I got this job. It was like my second job ever because the manager not only used to work at Bath and Body Works, not my specific ones, but she could understand where I was coming from, not wanting to work there anymore, but she was also super good friends with my cousin. So my cousin was like, she was looking for an employee, and my cousin's like, hey, I have a cousin who's a really good worker who's trying to quit her job and she wants to get a new job too, and she has retail experience. It just fit, you know? It was also right before the holidays, but I was signed on as more of a full-time employee, not just for holidays, because especially no one wanted to work the shifts I worked. I worked at this store during not only holiday hours when the mall was open till midnight, but I worked stock. Everyone hated stock because it was so freaking scary, and you guys know me, I listen to murder mystery stories because I want to be prepared for anything. The reason why I also wanted to work stock and no one else did, I think, because of the boxes you have to unpack when it comes to stock, and not only that, but the hours. You had to make sure you were clocked in to your job right before 5 in the morning, way before the mall even opens, and it's like just like still dark sometimes, almost the light is about to peek through the heavens. Oh, I'm using a new concealer today too. This is the first of its kind. Let me just shout this out for a second. One of my dear influencer friends, she has this new concealer, Rhea Cosmetics. She made her own line. They have eye patches, and she puts skincare in her makeup products, which is super rare. And not only that, this is the first of its kind because it has not only a concealer, but eye cream, sun protection, and blue light protection. And I have the color here, Fair Neutral, and she tried to match it to my skin tone of like what other concealers and brands I use, which is super, oh my gosh, look at the applicator, that's so cool. So we're gonna try this today. I usually put on a corrector for all my dark circles, but I'm just going to try this out without the corrector, just straight out the tube. I have so much acne today. I'm sure this is gonna work wonderfully. She's worked on this formula for over 4 years, I'm pretty sure. Alexandria was behind, oh my gosh, that's so, that blends so easily and it doesn't even feel like anything. I'm so excited. Anyways, so the reason why no one wanted to do stock that early in the morning, because when the light would shine onto the parking lot that early, it was crazy. It was like out of the scene of the movie Birds, except instead of like crows and stuff like that, it was like just straight up seagulls. Because I lived in Long Beach, California, and it was like creepy. Not just like a few cute birds. The parking lot, your car, everything was covered in birds, and everyone was so, I'm pretty sure someone got pooped on by a bird. Your car was covered, the light poles, everything with birds. And not only that, we worked at a mall, right? Where our storefront was in the middle of this big mall. So sometimes when you work at a mall, you have to park not the closest to the mall door, but the furthest. Even if you're doing stock, even before the mall even opens, I had to make sure I was parked further from the entrance of the mall. Let me set this. Before doing my cream contour, this is the E.L.F. new putty bronzers. I heard these were just as good as like other brands and people that use Chanel, which I don't use. I'm gonna use the brush that came with it. There's a scoop on one end and a blending brush on the other. I heard this is amazing. I love cream blushes and bronzing, sculpting things. Ooh, I love it. It's a little warm, in my opinion. I would use this for like a male character makeup. It's so cheap though, and it blends nice. I like it. So you were like in battle warfare with these seagulls when we worked stock at this store, right? And not only that, but sometimes like if we had girls to spare at others, since it was a chain at other stores, if we had girls to spare, we would send them to other stores near our city and other malls to help out. And some other backstories before I get into the retail stories. My assistant manager was younger than me. Either that or the same age, right? And she got that job because she worked at PacSun and became assistant manager there really quick because they didn't have many employees, and she just got assistant manager at the job before at another retail store, so they trusted her. I wasn't hard pressed about it because she was really nice. She was super hardworking. She honestly deserved it out of all of us girls. I didn't have enough experience compared to her. But some of the other retail workers were pressed, including this one girl who was the worst, who I will mention. Oh my goodness. I told y'all I was in the mood to try new makeup. I have new cream blushes. I've been looking for new cream blushes because I feel like I'm gonna have to toss mine soon. And Pixi sent over this lovely. Look at all of the shades of these blushes. Since we're doing more of a purple eye look today, I am going to steer towards the cool tones over here. But yeah, everyone was afraid to not only work, imagine working stock with birds at another mall that you've never been to and they just send you there because they need other helpers. That's kind of the situation that it was, and I had to do that too. You have to pick up keys and stuff, meet the night before you open whatever the store. It was a whole ordeal. Like, I'm sure if you guys work retail, you understand. Like, the stock was super creepy too because these boxes were like in fabric zipped bags that literally could hold bodies. Of course, I would think of that. And on top of it, you're alone before 5 in the morning to get to a store that you may not even know where it's at or located. The amount of times I had to like navigate through mall maps, oh my goodness. Just looking at mall maps now gives me anxiety because it just reminds me of my retail job. Ooh, I look sculpted and tan a little bit. Like I just got kissed by the sun, and for me, who's as pale as Casper's legs, like that's a big ordeal. Let's set all these creams. Now, oh my gosh, so it was definitely Christmas time when all the girls who were pregnant came to our store and they had to go to like their husbands, their boyfriends, or probably their very own, like some, and we live in the US, some girls, they only get 6 weeks of maternity leave. They have to go to a Christmas party. They wanna look cute. They wanna get something on sale. We had a store policy though, right? Especially if it was a holiday special, like specific outfit, like that red dress girl with the gold sequins. If you wanna wear that to your husband Bob's Christmas party, like sis, you better make sure you try it on in store because we had many a fitting room. You better try it on because especially if it's on sale, final sale. If it's on sale, clearance, final sale. That was just a store policy that we had to enforce. I'm gonna get a combination of Delirious and Funk Enroll. Let me prep my eyes first. But this job was very competitive. It's probably one of the most competitive jobs I've ever worked at. Even when I was in a law office with other lawyer assistants, even when I worked at Bath and Body and other jobs, like this was the most competitive job I've ever been to. Maybe I don't have enough experience, but it was really surprising to me how competitive they were here. Our manager told us that we had to sell 3 items or however many fewer items to equal, I think it was $65 to $75. That was like the range we were going for. So say if like you didn't meet that goal and you only sold like 2 items that equaled 35, 40 bucks. That means your next sale should be almost in the hundreds or more just to cover that, to make sure your average is around that for every 3 items equals 65 to 70 bucks or whatever, you know? That was super duper duper enforced. We had similar things when I worked at Bath and Body, but it wasn't as enforced and crazy as this. Like you had to make sales. They went over your sale numbers every single night after your shift. Not only that, like they compared you to everyone else, not only in your store, but nearby stores. Some girls even had tricks to where if you only had a 1 sale, they would lie to the customer. I didn't do this, but these girls did. They would lie to the customer and say that this, you know, this person wanted a $25 top, right? The specific basic top that we carry in our essentials line. They would say, oh, they would lie and say they didn't have any more or run out. Someone would even hide it behind certain things when they would go look for it and say they didn't have it, and they would send them to another store in the mall, because I think Sears also carried our brand, and JCPenney, one of those big box stores, and they would send them there. Oh, just this store down the way, or this store in the next city over at Kohl's or wherever. I don't even know what other store it was, I can't remember. But they had, like, they would do all of the gigs to try to get these sales, girl. It was important, and I was like, I can't lie to people. Like, maybe my moral compass is a lot stronger and crazier than y'all's, but I I couldn't do it. I'm gonna do computer blue, blend it into my crease. So yeah, like one of the first nights I worked by myself, right? During the holidays, alone. After I've been trained for like, I'm telling you, a few days. I was alone in my home store at the mall near my house, and this guy comes in, and I noticed that he was reading lips. He was mouthing and not really speaking because he was deaf. And I'm like, oh, I could definitely help this. I already had in my mind, like, I'm gonna help this man if he needs my help. I'm gonna be writing things down. I had all my Post-it in my notes ready, like, so he could write to me if he can't understand what I'm saying or read my lips well, because I tend to mumble a lot, especially back then when I was like younger and I wasn't as confident in myself, because I was literally, I think I had to have been 21, 22 years old when I held this job down. I'm gonna use When Doves Cry right here, and Baby I'm a Star in the middle. But so I was right, like this man needed my help about the clearance items that were for holidays for his wife. Either she didn't want to speak to me or she might have been deaf as well, and she was pregnant, of course, that's why she was there. And he wanted this holiday out dress for his wife. I remember it so clearly. It was red with black lacing, right? I circled on our flyer that these are final sales, and I wrote it out, hey, this is final sale. If you purchase this, because I noticed she wasn't trying it on the fitting room, but she didn't want to. Like they acted like they were in a rush at this mall, right? She did not want to try it on in the fitting room. And I wrote down twice on my notepad and circled the thing on our flyers that this is final sale. He cannot return this. I know she's not trying it on. And I said, are you sure? And yes or no, and he circled yes. And what happens, you say? Kat, what happens, you think? What happens? Well, like an hour before we were gonna close, in walks Mr. and Mrs. does not want to try on the dress, and now wants, all of a sudden decides that they want to return this item same day. I still had my notes that I wrote him. I still had the flyer that I circled. I said, writing out, sorry, I cannot return this. I showed it to you multiple times. You cannot return this item. It's final sale. This man got so furious, he asked me when the manager's coming, and that's why I knew. I'm like, oh my gosh. So I told him the day she's gonna be in, so he was gonna come back. This is what happened. Before he left, he took my pen and my notepads and threw it at my face, almost hitting my eye, stormed out with his wife. After I wrote down the days that my manager was gonna be in, and I was like almost about to cry, calling my manager like, listen, there was this poor man who we had a misunderstanding. He is deaf and he wants to do this return, and I told him I can't even override the system to make a return on a sale item in my register if I wanted to. And she's like, I know you would do like the right thing. She trusted me, so I've never had anything thrown in my face by a customer until that day. So that was that. I'm using Endorphin Machine from this palette. So that was that. It was not fun. But of course this video doesn't end here, because there was definitely, instead of customers, let's talk about the workers, girl. There was this one worker who, like, I could tell me and her would get along so well, but you know those people who, like, not knocking it, this band is amazing, but they take a band and that's their personality. I like AC/DC. This girl was like, I am all for Paramore, which Paramore is amazing. I love Paramore too, but she made it like that's all she talked about was the next Paramore concert, the Paramore t-shirts, everything, which is fine. She worked at Bath & Body Works, not the one I did, but we would like share our stories about working there, and she was cool, but like she would go to these Paramore concerts, coming back to work after a night where you could tell she would have been blacked out drunk before. She was barely coherent when she'd show up to work. And not only that, but sketchy stuff started happening whenever this girl would work. And it was sketchy as in like, we would sell not only clothes, but like devices, you know, breast pumps, snacks, candies that would help, you know, lactation cookies are a thing when you're about to give birth to a baby or prepare like when you do give birth to a baby, you can buy lactation cookies, and there was these ones that were not the cookies but the bars, Luna bars for I think they helped lactation. But when we had some bars that were expired or expiring, we had to cancel them out of our system and put them in the back. And we had like this weird closet break room. It was literally just a closet though, girl. Like, it wasn't really a true break room. And a lot of girls would go in this weird closet break room in the back near where all the systems for the electronics and air conditioning and stuff were. And I caught this girl eating the expiring bars, right? And she kept telling me how it's okay to do this. Our manager, she was super nice and super chill. That's why I liked working for her, because she was so honest and chill. But she would have told me, I'm sure, and a lot of us, especially our assistant manager, oh, don't worry, you could just like, if it's already out of our system, you could eat lactation protein bars or whatever they were. So I'm like, that's odd. But she was like, she worked there a lot longer than I did, so I'm like, maybe she knows what's best, I don't know. But I didn't, of course, eat the bars or anything. But then things got weirder with this girl. I found out she was lying about that. The manager's supposed to throw them out. She counts like how many were there in our system and the expiry dates, and then she throws them out, right? And not only was she lying about that, but so remember how I told you we would go to other, this was a chain, so we would go through other stores like in a different mall. Well, me and her had to work a different mall in another city near us. It was just a different version of that store. And we had to close out, me and her, that night, and she was teaching me how to close and everything. But what was weird is the till didn't come up even. Your till on your register has to come up even. That means that everything you sold with the receipts in the system of the register, everything you sold has to come out even. If you sold $315.45 worth of merchandise that day, your till should come up with the receipts from the credit cards and the cash receipts, that it should come up 300, whatever I just said, you know? But every single time someone would work with her, it would come up a few dollars short. And we noticed when it was, one day, it was immensely a short. It was almost $100 short, right? And I realized it's whenever people were working with this girl, and it turns out she got fired because she was stealing hundreds of dollars worth of cash and eating those foods that we were selling. And I had to look up to her as like, she was the one who was training me. I could have listened to my trainee. You know, you gotta have a moral compass at these things, right? I did run into this girl later, Paramore Girl. We're gonna call her Paramore Girl. I ran into Paramore Girl at Bath and Body Works right near my home. She went back to Bath and Body Works. Now I'm gonna get some purple, the Funk and Roll that I've been using, and just buff it into where my blush is. But oh my gosh, the amount of customers, the different types of customers I would receive while working here. I would have those moms who would, they just seemed like they didn't want to buy anything, which I understand. Sometimes I go to Target just to go to Starbucks and just look at things, and I come out with like one hair clip or something. But some of the moms would come in and you could tell which ones weren't really buying anything. They just like wanted to, especially during summer, they wanted to get out of the house with their kids. You know, kids were definitely allowed there. But while the mom was looking and trying on clothes, making so much of like a return on clothes I knew she wasn't gonna buy, her kids, she would talk her ear off to me at the register. This one mom would do this, and she had at least 3 kids come in every time with her. Ooh, I don't like that. I'm gonna take that away. But she would have at least 3 kids come with her every time. And while she was talking to me with a distraction, her kids would be making a fort out of our giant packages of underwears. Cause you know, you gotta wear some nice sturdy underwear when you, well, not always, you can do whatever you want, but some girls wanna wear sturdy underwear, you know, when they're going to the hospital to pop out a child into this world. So the kids would take the underwear, build forts out of them, and then so I wouldn't even know these children were doing this in my store until the mom left and I was closing up, and I thought I would be almost done putting the register, making sure it was even, So it was like you had a job to do after your job every single time this mother would come in with her darn children. And on top of that, we had our shop next across the street from a smoothie and a cookie, chocolate chip cookie company. So the kids would have sticky hands so she could have her kids fumble through our stuff with sticky hands on stuff she wasn't gonna buy. And I'm not shaming her kids are kids, but that was such a pain, such a pain. Honestly, this next story should have sent me to the ER, but it didn't because I'm crazy. I'm too nice of a worker. You need to know your rights when you work for places. Like say you're a cleaning lady and the people that call you over to their home to want you to clean it, what if they have feces all over the floor and you don't know if it's human feces, dog feces, pet feces, what? You don't have to do that. You could just call, if you have a boss, you could call your client. Like, I'm here to wash the tub, not poop, you know? So this is kind of like that because I have only been working for a little over a week for this company, right? The same company of maternity clothes. And it was one of those situations where I was working not at my home store, I was working at a mall near it in another store because they needed someone during the holidays to close for the night. It was not only that, but it was I remember it was my first time closing the store alone. Ooh. And I did have the assistant manager's number, who I never met, just had her number in case anything bad happens. And I had all these folding some of these stores had so many go backs, whether they had too many customers or if associates were just lazy or didn't have time, they would have like racks and racks of go backs. It kind of made the store look messy if they didn't have like a cool break room. This store had a big break room and a lot of go backs. So I was doing go backs, folding shirts on some of the go backs to look presentable and nice for the sale rounders, like shelves of folded nice origami style shirt folding, right? I was doing that, but they had like these metal signs that says, you know, 2 shirts for $25 or something, whatever colors. They had those signs for it that were metal edges. And I didn't notice that one of them had a raw edge, meaning it was like cut or broken. And while I was folding the shirts and putting it back, I literally ripped my full forearm with like a 5 to 6 inch gash down here, ripped my arm open, blood all over my outfit. Oh yes, we did have to wear nice clothes. I don't think it was a uniform. We just couldn't wear like, I don't think we could wear jeans or open-toed shoes. So I had really nice outfits on. I went like businessy type, you know? Yeah, got blood all over that. So I called that lady to help me close because I didn't want to get blood on the items or the cash, the register, nothing like that. I was panicking, to be honest with you. And the first thing that this girl who I never met, who's assistant manager to the store that I just showed up to, that I'm covering other people for, the first thing she says, oh my gosh, did you get any blood on the clothes? Not are you okay? Are you like conscious and standing and not dizzy from losing blood? But did you get on? I'm like, no, I didn't. So she came literally right at the last minute when she had to help me close the store. And it was my first time closing. I will never forget it. My first time closing alone, and that was happening to me. I just will never forget it. Cause she had such an attitude that I had to ask her, you know, cause it was her night off. Like, oh, I got to help this new person. When I was just there to help them. But since I was new, she was so frustrated with me. That wasn't even my store though. I was helping them. I just realized I forgot to try the powder, so let's try her. I mean, do I see any difference? It definitely changes my skin tone. I feel like it's too dark because I'm pale white, so I can't really judge this powder. All right, I'm gonna use Crystal Ball, the shadow, as highlight. Why not? Oh my gosh, another frustrating thing is I love my boss, but like the assistant manager, she always got treated special. And I know she got paid more than this, of course, because she was higher up, but they would like go on these like trips to go shopping and stuff instead of working more and just leave us behind. and take longer lunches, or just leave us to go shopping just with the assistant manager and none of us, and buy her food and stuff, and meet her whole family. She would have her we like had this thing, I don't know if it was part of the rule book or whatever, but we couldn't like have our family come visit us and like have them hang out with us. But I did get them to agree to have my friends come visit me, only because this next story, oh my goodness. I had a situation where this guy would come and didn't have a wife, pregnant, anything, and would ask me the creepiest questions in the store, and only when I worked there. So I would have my friends come and check on me, my best friends, to bring me like, it was so cute, they would bring me like chapsticks and like coffee. It was so nice. I like this, but only for like, it's traditional, so it won't do like, I want to do some crazy liner things, and it's not good for that, but for like waterline situation, it's good. But see, sometimes I just want crazy liner and I can't, that won't cut it. So I had this creepy guy that would come and ask me questions. He'd smell pretty awful. Not trying to shame anyone, but I don't know what he was doing there. He didn't have a wife or anything. I asked like, oh, are you shopping for your wife? Or do you need anything in a certain size? I would ask him all the questions. No, he was just there to see me and talk my brains out. It got to the point where it was like kind of creepy. That was one of the reasons why I left, on top of this next thing I'm gonna tell you about, and on top of I wasn't making those weird sales numbers and tricks that all the other girls were doing. And I felt wrong like giving people credit cards that can't afford it, and I felt wrong lying to people, customers. So I left before I was fired, because I was told that I would probably be fired soon. But also because, oh my goodness. So I was working at this other store that wasn't my home store. It was in, again, a mall in a town nearby me, closing. I was already well versed in closing, but as I was leaving the mall, I always had my keys in between my fingers. I had a keychain with like a pocket knife on it, and I had this rundown little car, my little Honda Civic. Oh my gosh, I missed that baby. And I would just power walk to my car, right, when I closed, because it was so dark, so late. I didn't use freeways, so I used side streets, because I hated the freeways at night, because this was an industrial city with giant trucks. And I had to like drive home, was like a 30-minute drive. And one night when I was, of course, closing, got in my car and I turned my car on, and on the other side of the parking lot, it sounds like those Let's Read horror stories I listen to at night. This other car across the way turned its headlights right when I turned mine on, and right when my ignition, started. And I was like, huh, what a coincidence. And then I drove out of the parking lot to get on the side streets to go home. I'm so glad I took the side streets, because he followed me home. And good thing I knew the side streets, and I've been living in this town, in my neighborhood where I lived, for 15 years or more by then, so I knew my way around, because I was zigzagging, going through all these crazy side streets that no one else knew about. And I lost him in this really expensive, windy neighborhood near my home, but I didn't live in there, but it was near it. I lost him. I wish I was smart enough to know the local police stations so I could drive into there. I wish I was smart enough to write down his license plate, but it's hard to drive and write down a license plate at the same time. There's so many things I know now that I wish I did, but he would wait till I was at a stoplight and lick his lips at me every stoplight on the way home as he was following me home. Anyways, I am going to do the rest of this liner, put on some lashes and lips, because there's no lipstick in this collab whatsoever, so I'm just gonna pop those on and I'll be right back. And just like that, we have completed this look. I know this was very wild of a makeup look, but I had so much fun doing this. Leave a comment down below if you ever worked retail, or if you have any job like crazy stories, or just crazy stories in general. I would love to hear it. All the products I use in this video will be listed down below in the description box as always. Definitely my favorite product I tried today was the Rhea Cosmetics eye cream, corrector, concealer. It has it all. This is so easily blendable. I cannot wait to see how the properties work for my under eyes. It probably was one of the most easiest blended concealers I've ever used, and it didn't like cake in my fine lines or anything. The putty bronzer was not bad. I still like the tone and colors of my powder bronzers that I normally use. I did have to go back in with my favorite powder bronzer. This is the Midi palette by Ofra in light. The cream blushes from Pixi Beauty were good as well. Now for the Urban Decay Prince eyeshadow collaboration ordeal, this powder isn't bad. You have to make sure it's your skin tone. This is too dark for me. I feel like it would work great for other people, just not for me. Maybe it's because of the color, so my opinion is a little biased. Didn't see a huge difference in this product. It is just like kind of like a shimmery moisturizer. There's no like real amazing quality to it. If you're really pale, it would be a little too dark. It just kind of looks oily. It's not my favorite. The eyeshadow palettes are okay, they're decent, but for the price, I feel like you get such better quality eyeshadows. $55 is a lot of money. I had to pack on my P. Louise concealer to get really good color payoff, but if you really are a fan of Prince, purples, like golds and blues in these shades, I would definitely purchase it if you have the money. But there's so many better dupes out there that are more affordable. NYX has this palette. Their Tetris palette is on sale right now as I'm filming this, and it has all of the same colors as these two palettes combined. NYX also has the Utopia palette that has very similar eyeshadow colors, $35 instead of $55. You get so many more eyeshadows. And E.L.F. Cosmetics has this Electric Mood palette that just came out that has very, very similar colors. There's a yellow instead of a gold. It has very, very similar tones in it. And this definitely, by Juvia's Place, gave me the same vibes as these Prince palettes. That would be a great option as well. And Be Perfect Beauty Bay, their X Stacy palette has so many colors that are more pigmented and give off more color payoff. And they have this $25 The Equalizer palette. Oh my goodness. This definitely is missing some blue tones from these two palettes, but it gives off the same vibes with the purples, the gold, the black. So that's just my opinion. If you have the money, you're a big fan of Prince, I would get it. Just don't expect super big amounts of like easy to blend color payoff, because purple is already hard to blend. It's easier to tap it with your finger than blend, especially the shimmers. I've had issue with Urban Decay's eyeshadow palettes in the past. They're not like my go-to company for eyeshadow palettes. That's why I'm being so harshly critical. And for the price point, the packaging's gorgeous. I love that it's magnetic. I love this right here. I love any type of eye decal. So if you're a huge fan of Prince, I feel like you would like this. And if you're more into like shimmery purples, nothing too wild. I mean, the blues are kind of wild. Maybe shimmery purple might be wild to you, but I'm crazy. And as you can see by my liner today that I love, I'm crazy. There's also no lip color. I use the color Late Night by the Wild Catsuit by Wet n Wild. I love it. So I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. Do not let this deter you from retail jobs. Some companies are amazing. Some people love working retail. It is just not like for me, because I am more of an introvert. I'm an anxious person. The company's morale was not exceptional. So if you're looking for a job and want to work retail, there are some great ones. I did have a ton of fun working with Bath & Body Works because we got to try out some products, and I got to do like the floor displays for the holidays, which was so much fun to me. So don't let this deter you from working retail. These are just my stories. It's kind of like the worst parts. I did have some good parts working with this company, but those are just my stories, and I hope you enjoyed. I'll see you in the next video. I'll talk to you then, friends. Bye.